The horror genre is one of the most popular genres in all of cinema and boasts an incredible collection of films, but the movies we have in the modern age are in no way similar to the ones that created the genre. Today, we're going to take a look at the history of horror films.
Here's Johnny!
The genre dates back to before cinemas were even around. In 1896, French filmmaker Georges Méliès directed The House of the Devil, a 3-minute short film that showed horror imagery but had no story. This is considered the first horror film ever created, yet all physical copies of it have been destroyed. Jumping forward to the 1930s saw the release of Dracula, an iconic film that changed horror from a term to a genre. The growing popularity of sound and film allowed for the genre to expand, and by the mid-1940s, horror was one of the biggest genres of film, with monster movies giving us classics such as Frankenstein, King Kong, and The Invisible Man. The movie Cat People in 1942 established the first ever jump scare in a movie. This became a popular technique for scaring the audience and is commonly used to this day. The 1960s, specifically 1960. This year brought along Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Hitchcock's classic story about a crazed motel owner changed the way horror stories were told, influencing new films to focus on character and dive into the psyche of antagonists. Psycho was also deemed as too violent for audiences and became a point of controversy, but within the next few years the genre shifted to become more accustomed to violence. Psycho is seen as the creator of the slasher film subgenre, which didn't become widely popular until the 1970s. This was arguably the greatest period of time for the genre. The Exorcist, which is often considered as one of the scariest films of all time, was so disturbing to audiences that it caused many viewers to faint or vomit while watching.
I have a friend in there alone, and I don't want to leave her in there alone.
The spectacle of the movie caused it to be a huge hit, which led to horror films making a comeback in Hollywood. The industry was beginning to take the horror genre seriously, with studios making big productions such as Jaws, Alien, and Carrie. But slashers were the most prominent films of the genre, with Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre shocking audiences and showing extreme violence on the screen in 1974. But in 1978, the genre completely changed with the release of one film. Halloween. John Carpenter's story of Michael Myers, a serial killer on the loose, was an independent production filmed in just 20 days made off a budget of $300,000. The result? $70 million at the box office and a craving for this new type of horror. Halloween's success jump-started slasher films, which carried over into the 80s with the franchising of the horror genre. The start of the decade brought Friday the 13th, which was a massive hit due to its similarity to Halloween. Over the next 9 years, there were 7 sequels made. Other horror movies were quickly made into franchises, with A Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, and Hellraiser not even having time to become classics before several sequels of each were made. Even Halloween, which was an original production, was milked to death with sequels and reboots being made, and there are now 13 Halloween films total. The franchising of all these horror properties contributed to the genre once again dying out. Although the franchising of horror in Hollywood has only gotten worse with time, the 1990s and 21st century have curated many classics such as Scream, Saw, The Ring, and Silence of the Lambs. The Blair Witch Project was also an innovative take on horror storytelling, introducing the found footage subgenre. Although many people believe we're long past the golden age of horror movies, there seems to have been a bit of a resurgence in recent years. Production companies such as A24 and Blumhouse have pushed out several new original horror films, and directors such as Jordan Peele, Ari Aster, and Robert Eggers have pushed the genre in new experimental ways. Horror movies have come a long way since their roots in early Hollywood, and it's exciting to see where these new films could take the genre.